Barakatayawa, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakodash. Welcome to another live lesson.
Barakatayawa.
The name of this one is Greater is He That Prophesieth. This is a lesson I was trying to do earlier, but I had to stop. I had to take care of something. So, I'm back at it. In Lord's will, to be edifying. I only really have one chapter, that I was going over earlier. And, we're going to go into it because, it's one thing to teach, but it's another thing to teach and stay on topic, so to speak. And not necessarily stay on topic on one topic, because sometimes the spirit jumps. Let's start off with that real quick. Because sometimes, whenever we speak, it's a spirit guiding us to speak. So if you're teaching a lesson and it jumps to something else, guess what? That's a spirit. Let me get two precepts on that. And then we could get rolling from there. Let's start off in the book of St. John chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, "The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit." So you don't know where the Spirit is going to lead. Sometimes you may have scriptures that you put together, as you hear Elder Pastor speak on. He'll have a list of scriptures. He might hit two scriptures or one scripture or maybe three scriptures on the list, and it goes in a total different direction. Or sometimes you may get through all the precepts or most of them on your list. It all depends on the Spirit and where the Lord wants it to go. All right. And sometimes you may be speaking on a particular topic, and then the Spirit will have you go into something totally different. And then possibly after you finish with that point, come back to the original topic that you were speaking on in the first place, because the Spirit is like the wind. You don't know where it's going, and you don't know where it's coming from. And this is why when the prophets speak, they speak two or three at a time, and then one minute one prophet is on fire, and the other prophet, you could tell, you could see that the Spirit is not really on him, or he might read or whatever the case is, and then all of a sudden the first prophet that was on fire, you could see that Spirit jumped off of him and jumped on the other prophet, and so on and so forth. And this is the dynamic of the truth. That's why we're a body, so the Lord puts the Spirit on men, to speak and prophesy, according to the different proportions that the Lord gave to each one. Now this is the book of 11 and 5, Ecclesiastes 11 and 5. "As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child," which is dealing with the spirit of the child, "even so thou knowest not the works of the Most High, who maketh all." But no one knows the way of the Spirit, and this is what Esau's trying to get. He's trying to find out how to capture the Spirit, and you can't capture the Spirit because the Spirit belongs to the Most High. The Most High is the Father of spirits. All spirits, all souls belong to the Lord, to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So you can't contain that, just like you can't contain the Holy Spirit either. The Holy Spirit moves as the Lord sees fit, the way He wants it to move. So now I'm gonna give you an example of jumping. This is the book of Isaiah 60 and 7. Now we're talking about, when you read this chapter, it's talking about waking up to the truth. It's talking about the setting up of the kingdom. It's talking about these nations going into captivity and bringing forth their riches, right? So it goes on to say in verse 6, "The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring golden incense, and they shall show forth the praises of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai." Why? Because they're going to honor those names in the kingdom of heaven. "All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebajoth shall minister unto thee." So all of these flocks and all of the substance and riches that these nations have are going to come to us because they belong to us anyway. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. So pretty much this is speaking about how the kingdom is going to be set up, the greatness of the kingdom, how these nations are going to be tributary, how they're going to be slaves, how they're going to bring their substances and their riches and all that to us. And then all of a sudden in verse 8 it says, who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows? So it jumps from that whole scenario to speaking about the chariots, something that was pretty much off topic, but this is how the Spirit wanted it to happen. And this is what happens when brothers may be zoned in on a particular topic, and all of a sudden the Lord shifts gears and goes in a different direction. And sometimes you might get back, like in the case of this, after that happened, it came right back. Surely the isle shall wait for thee. Went back into the kingdom, into how the nations are going to go into captivity and bring their substance. But sometimes it may stay on this particular topic, or it might go into a third different altogether topic. Depends on the Spirit. And the ships of Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai thy power, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. All right. So going into the point of where were we before this? St. John 3:8, the wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. And the main thing that we're supposed to be doing is prophesying. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14, and then I'm already there. I don't know why we did that. Let's go. I already have it here, but let's go to the point, and then let's jump back up. 1 Corinthians 14:39. Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy, and forbid not to speak with tongues. So prophecy is the greatest gift, as we're going to read up above this. And what is prophesying? When you break the word down, prophesy means to say before. Pro and then phesai. Pro is before, phesai is to say before. So before something happens, you're speaking about it. But also, you have to break it down. There's instances in here where we're reading about the Apostle Paul that he had to break down the understanding to edify the elect of the nation of Israel, because he spoke in tongues, he did miracles, he did many things, but the greatest of all of these was to be able to prophesy and to break it down. So what he was saying is he'd rather speak 5 words with his understanding, and that the Israelites that were among him could be edified, than to speak 10,000 words in an unknown tongue and nobody would be edified. And that's what it's about. It's about edification. It's about the building up of the house of David, the tabernacle of David. And that goes through these teachings. So yes, there are many things in the scriptures, but all things are not profitable. Like, okay, it's good to know about certain things in the scriptures, but the main things that we should be dealing with right now is prophecy. Now we're going to the history and going to certain points in the history. That's good. That's all right. But the main things is what? The prophecies, the things that are occurring right now and are about to happen, and speaking about it, because that's the way that the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, are going to be glorified. When these things actually come to pass. All right, so let's start at the first verse. It says, follow after charity and desire spiritual gifts, but rather that you may prophesy. So follow after charity, be charitable with your brother, and desire spiritual gifts, because the main things that we should be desiring are spiritual gifts. Yes, we need carnal things, of course, but the main things that we should be coveting are spiritual things. But what is the most spiritual gift that you can covet or want? But rather that you may prophesy. That's what we read in the 39th verse. It says, wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy, and forbid not to speak with tongues, because prophecy is the greatest thing that we can have. And on top of that, being able to break it down to edify the elect of the nation of Israel. Because remember, even if you break it down to the last common denominator, if you have an Israelite out there that's not meant to get it, they're not going to get it. because it wasn't given unto them. And this is why the closer we get to the end, the less patient the spirit is with these people out here. There's no more time to be playing around. Somebody comes with foolishness, they either getting blocked, cut off, ignored, whatever. Because we're getting too close for foolishness. And you have a lot of folly out there in the nation of Israel, even and especially among those that are woken up, that know that they're Israelites. Romans 11:7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for. So what are they seeking for? They're seeking for the truth, and they're seeking for salvation. But they have not attained it. See? They haven't attained salvation. They haven't attained the knowledge of the truth. Because when the knowledge of the truth is brought to them, they reject it. They scoff at it. They laugh at it. They think it's ridiculous that it could be that simple. You know, and the truth is very simple. It tells you that in the book of Prophets, the 8th chapter. It's very simple. But what it is in this society, you've been taught that it has to be complicated in order for it to be the truth. Because this is how Esau has indoctrinated the world into accepting his form of religion, his form of plantation Christianity, which is a total bugged out, nonsensical philosophy. And is ridiculous, because you got to go to school, spend all this money, spend all these years going to these different colleges to learn a whole bunch of nothing that has nothing to do with salvation. Yeah, it's good to know the history of beautiful. You know the history, that's beautiful. You know about different things, that's beautiful. But to try to, what's the best version that we should be using, and what's the exegesis and the extra Jesus and the extra cheese it, all that other nonsense, is all it is just a bunch of fancy words that these so-called intellects like to throw around so they can feel good about themselves, because this particular individual that calls himself a doctor, he doesn't know about that term, but this guy knows it. So let's have a debate about that. It's all bullshit. Things that are important are prophecies and things that pertain unto salvation. And those things are very simple to understand if you are a part of the elect of the nation of Israel. Otherwise, it's going to be madness to you. Yeah, that's right. So much folly. That's right, brother. But the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So the election have obtained it. So if the election have obtained it, and you're dealing with an individual or individuals that can't get it, they obviously either will get it later or they're not a part of the elect. Because Yahushua made it clear. He said, my sheep hear my voice. And they're going to accept Yahushua. They're not going to reject him. They may have questions. They may ask certain questions. But eventually they're going to listen because they know Yahushua's voice. They don't know the voice of a stranger. But those that are not Yahushua's are going to reject him, just like they did in the past. It says, and the rest were blinded, meaning the rest of the Israelites that were not meant to get this word were blinded. Why? Because they were blinded because the understanding of this truth, the keeping of this truth, and the teaching of this truth is the direct ticket to salvation. Let's go real quick to the same book of Romans, the 10th chapter, and the 10th verse. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. You see? So it starts off with believing, and afterwards confessing. And that belief combined with confession, combined with that, because the belief is the faith, so that belief combined with the confession leads to what? Leads to salvation. See? So let's go back to Romans 11. It says, according as it is written, the Most High hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. So if they're not meant to get it, they're not going to get it. But you have certain individuals in Israel that think that they're smarter than the Most High. They think that they're so intelligent that they're going to make a way to get people to get it and understand it. They're gonna be the saviors of Israel and gather all of Israel, when the Most High already gave the number of those that will not get it and will be destroyed. But then the Lord is wrong. I'm going to show you that I'm going to gather all Israel, and this is individuals that are serving their own belly. You know, and that's just one example. There's many different examples of it. That's just one. It says, and David saith, let their table be made a snare. Meaning what? What is the table? The table is this knowledge. You know, because this is an altar. And just like you had an altar back then, what did you do? You had different things on the altar. You know, you had to have the blood. You had to have everything on the altar that you needed to what? To make that sacrifice holy. So this is the table now, this truth, with all of the different scriptures, which is the doctrine, which is the gospel. But then you have those that don't accept the gospel and reach to go into what? Into something else, to another gospel, to another Jesus. And what happens? They end up getting lost. They end up getting destroyed. Because they were following the right path, but then somewhere down the line they deviated. And that's why you have the parable of the 10 virgins, which Elder Pastor went into. I watched most of the video earlier. Lord's will, I could finish watching the rest. You know, but that's the point. You have those that are meant to get it, which are the wise virgins, and those that are not meant to get it. And that's the skinny of that's the short analysis of it. That there are the ones that are gonna get it, and there are the ones that are not gonna get it. And the ones that are gonna get it, though, the teachers that teach and prophesy, they will be edified. And that's why it's important to do things unto edification. Do things unto the edifying of the body, meaning the building up of the bricks that make up the tabernacle of David, so that they can get fed, so that they can get nourished in the spirit, so that they can grow, so that they can get those experiences. And eventually, if they are part of the teachers, they will learn enough to become the teachers. You see, but it's about the edification. Galatians 1:6, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Yahushua unto another gospel. And you see that. You've seen it time and time again. What you have in now, you brothers that's been in it for the last 9, 10, 11, 12, going on 13 years, you have those experiences that we were talking to you about when y'all first started hearing about the truth. About those individuals that we ran across in the past that turned to another gospel, that turned to other spirits, that turned to another Jesus, so to speak, that forsook the way. Now you understand that. Why? Because you've heard about it, you've read about it, you've been taught about it, and you've experienced it. You have your own experiences with it. And that's all a part of the edifying. It says, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you, right? Because you're going to have those individuals that's going to take the word and they're going to get offended somewhere down the line, whether they get kicked out or leave, and then they're going to try to inject their poisonous venom into the doctrine that was already taught, to try to mold their demonic mind, their servant of their belly, into the truth, so that they won't feel guilty about leaving the real truth. And that's pretty much a lot of times what it's about. It's a lot of them individuals they got spirits on them. They're ashamed, so they figure that the only way for them to feel good about themselves is to dispel, what they've been taught. Oh, that's a lie. So it makes them feel better about leaving. I'm so glad I left. But in the back of your mind, you know that this is the truth. It says, and would pervert the gospel of Yahushua. And that's what they do. They're perverting this gospel. That's where you got individuals even to this day. And you always see a new crop of demons come up, whether it be one individual or a group of them, changing the doctrine. Never had a platform in their life to teach anything or to know about anything. But then all of a sudden, when YouTube comes on and the One West camps of Hebrew Israelites start teaching, they get a grip of it, little bit of it, and then they either get offended or whatever the case is, and they want to go on a whole tangent in another direction. But they have no platform of their own, so they have to build upon another man's foundation and take their platform to inject their bullshit, because they know that unless they have something that's credible, no one else is going to follow them. So they need a ready-made audience. But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached, let him be accursed, meaning there's going to be curses put upon him. Did not the Apostle Paul sick Satan on certain individuals? Did not he put curses on certain individuals? And at the same time, he put blessings on other individuals. It says, as we said before, so say I now again. So he had to repeat it twice, because this is a very serious offense. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that you have received, let him be accursed. Let him be cursed. Let curses be put upon him. Let him just be cursed, period. So going back to Romans 11 and 9, and David said, let their table be made a snare, meaning this knowledge that is supposed to help them, that is supposed to build them up, is going to be a trap unto them. And then when you go back into Psalm 69, it says, and that which shall be, that which is to be for their welfare, let it become a trap unto them. Because this is our welfare. This is our well-being. This is our soundness, our sound mind, our stabilization is this truth, this knowledge. Anything else is insanity. It says, and that's why it speaks about the spiritual man being mad, because they're going off in a tangent into something totally different, to another doctrine, to another gospel, because they're serving their own belly. They're not serving their Lord. Because if they serve the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, they will continue on that path unto the end. You see? And a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them, because it's payback. You got to remember that you have individuals that are awoke now, that know that they're Israelites, that are in leadership positions, that were the same ones that were in high positions back then in the ancient world. When Yahushai was around, they were persecuting Yahushai. They were persecuting the disciples, which became apostles. They were persecuting the men of the Lord back then. They were speaking evil of this way that we're teaching. And it's the same thing today, because those same spirits are reincarnated today, no matter what some crackpot says, that reincarnation is not biblical. You know? Reincarnation is totally biblical. But you have those individuals that were not able to continue. They went out from us, but they were not of us. Because if they were of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. It says, let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. Why? Because they're not going to be able to get this. This is not going to benefit them. And this is why Yahushai told them wicked Pharisees and them, you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. And that's why every time he spoke, what happened was they got offended. They wanted to kill him because they wanted to stop that. They wanted to stop that way. They wanted to crush that name. They wanted to crush those miracles because it was affecting their position. It was affecting their money, because remember, they were very rich. So they were being affected in the wrong way by the words of Yahushai. And then you had people that were under their spell, that were snapping out of that spell to come and follow Yahushai. Even among some of the top men. And that's the ones that they were feared, that the wicked Pharisees and them feared the most of leaving, were the top men among the Pharisees and them. Have any of the leaders of the Pharisees believed on him? Because they know he was a threat. See? So now let's go back to 1 Corinthians 14 and 2. So this is pretty much why we're supposed to prophesy, go into things that are beneficial. You ain't supposed to be going into no Psalms 151. That's not in the scriptures. You're not supposed to be going into no book of Enoch or the book of Yasher. We explain to you why those books are not right now. We'll get that in the kingdom. We have sufficient. What we have right now is sufficient to get to salvation. Scriptures say we know in part, for we prophesy in part. So all that other extra stuff, you don't need to get into that. If it's not in the scriptures, you don't need to get into that. Because if you do get into that, what's going to happen is more than likely them spirits are going to jump on you and you're going to end up 1 Corinthians 4:1. The Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Stick to the scriptures, man. And some individuals out there that want to get into all them different books, you ask them basic things in the scriptures, they can't even tell you. But they want to be deeper than deep in all this other bullshit that doesn't matter. But then when it comes to certain basic things in the scriptures, they have no clue or idea what it's speaking about. You ask them, what's the mark of the beast? Sin, transgression of the law, which, as Elder Apostle Tar explained, the mark. If you take the mark of the beast, that is a form of sin, because it is a sin. It's an iniquity, but it's not. The mark of the beast has nothing. It's not sin. The mark of the beast is a tangible thing, which is the microchip. See? It says, for he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men. Yeah, because if you're speaking in a foreign language, that's what this is talking about. This is not talking about that so-called charismatic movement among these different religious so-called Christian groups. They call it the charismatic movement. Different, like the Jehovah's Witness and different other, I believe the Baptists and different other sects of these religions that talk about speaking in tongues, that shana, that madness, that exorcist type shit. That's not what it's talking about. This is talking about speaking in a different language. For he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto the Most High. For no man understandeth him, howbeit in the spirit he speaketh mysteries. And it's not about speaking mysteries. And if we do speak the mysteries, we're supposed to explain them, what they mean. And I trust and believe, as the scriptures say, even if you break it down plainly, not everyone's going to get it. Everyone's not going to get it, even if you're breaking it down plainly. The proof of it is we've been on YouTube for what? Since July of 2007. And you still have those people that going all the way back then. Scoffers from way back then that are still around. Still talking the same shit. Still not getting it. Still mocking the mark of the beast. Still mocking, different things that we've broken down in the scriptures. It says, but he that prophesies speaketh unto men to edification. And that's what it's about. Edification, which edification is what? Building up. Let's get that word real quick. Edification. Oikodome. Oiko or oikos is where you get the word house or home. Okay? So oikodome is the act of building up. Metaphorically edifying, edification. And we've broken down, when you look up the word edify or edifice, in the Spanish is edificio, which means that's the Spanish way how you say building. And a building, when you look at a building is not, it just doesn't appear. It has to be built from the ground up. You don't start building from the roof down. You start building from the foundation up. And that's why it's very important to know how you're building on that foundation. Let's go real quick to 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9. For we are laborers together with the Most High. What are we laboring for? We're laboring to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai to build the house of David, the tabernacle of David, from the ground up, dealing from the foundation up. And who's the foundation? Yahweh Shai. You are the Most High's husbandry. You are the Most High's building. What does it mean you are the Most High's husbandry? Meaning we are the vineyard that the Lord dug up, planted the seed, watered it, nurtured it, watched it, cultivated it, plucked it, so that it could be used for his benefit. Let's go real quick from there to Isaiah chapter 5. We're just going to go to the point. And 7. For the vineyard of the Lord's of hosts is the house of Israel. See? So this vineyard is the house of Israel. So we are the Most High's husbandry, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. Why? Because Judah is the head tribe. This is why Yahushua came out of Judah. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. Why? Because Israel is hard-headed. So it says, ye are the Most High's husbandry, meaning we are the Most High's planting. Because remember, it says, now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. But then when we read the 7th verse, so then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but the Most High that giveth what? The increase. So the Most High is the one that gives the increase to be able to build. Because you can't start, you can't lay the foundation, build the first floor on top of the foundation, and then build the 3rd floor without first building the 2nd floor. There's levels to it. You got to build up. You can't build down. You can't have somebody building a foundation in the 1st floor and then somebody building the 5th floor and then the 4th floor. No, it don't work like that. It says, so going down here, it says, you are the Most High's building. And this is what it's about. It's about building. And how do you build a sound structure of a building? By using the right bricks. And what do those bricks consist of? They consist of individuals out there that are the teachers, that are given the proper doctrine by the men that the Lord set up. Let's go from there to Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. It says, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, meaning what? According to the mind of the Lord. So what is the mind of the Lord? How can we find out about that? By reading the Bible. Because this is what is telling us what the mind of the Lord is, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Why? That you may grow thereby. Let's get that. 1 Peter. I mean, you advanced brothers, you already know this, but this is for the younger brothers coming in. 1 Peter 2:2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby, because it's about growth. It's not about stagnation. It's about growth. That's why the Apostle Paul said, look, Timothy, you got to commit this word to men that will be able to become teachers also, and that they may teach others. Yahushua said, the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye the Lord that he send laborers into his vineyard, into his harvest. It's his harvest time. It's time for plucking. It's time for reaping. Let's go to St. John chapter 4. And let's start at 34. The point is a little further down. Yahushua saith unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work. Now this is a part of that work, teaching his word. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Yeah, because you have some individuals, still time, got time, so let's sit back a little bit, chill. Matter of fact, pour me another glass of that yayan. I just want to chill for now. And then once everything is ready, then we'll go out there and we'll work. No. This is go time. The work is already there. There's plenty of work to be done. Everybody should have their plow in their hands. Plowing this ground of Israel out there, which are the minds of these Israelites out here. And the ones that are part of the elect, that seed will take root. And the Lord will make them increase. All our job is just to teach the word. Do the videos, do the speakings, and the Lord will take care of the rest. He takes care of the planting the seed in the right minds. And through his men that continue to teach, that word that they're teaching, which is the water, will nourish that seed in that mind and cause it to grow and cause it to have fruit in it, which is the fruit of the understanding of that individual. And then when he gets to a certain point, then he's able to start teaching. It's an ongoing cycle. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. So it's time. It's time to reap. It ain't time to sit around the shack. It's time to reap. It's time to get busy. It's time to do. It's time to get involved. It's time to do. It's time to work. It's time to toil. It's time to sweat, so to speak. It says, and he that reapeth receiveth wages. But the point is, you have to reap. Why? Because the Lord gave all of those men, he told them to go out into the vineyard and to work. And they said, at the end of the day, you will receive your penny. And this is the work. And gathereth fruit unto life eternal. So in the reaping process of working in this truth, we receive wages and we gather fruit unto life eternal. Because we're doing this for a reward. We're doing this for our salvation. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. How do you work out your own salvation with fear and trembling? Giving diligence. And what are you giving diligence in? Diligence in these teachings. Diligence in getting involved in the work. You know, the Spirit is on you, boom, knock a lesson out. Spirit's not on you, you know, our mindset is, okay, what's the next lesson? You know, what do I have? I don't have anything. Pray, Lord, please put the Spirit on me to do a lesson. You know, something that's edifying, to feed the sheep, to feed the flock. You know, you may be searching through stuff, searching through articles, searching through your archives or whatever. You might run across a notebook that you wrote years ago or a couple of months ago. You might have jotted down some scriptures, and you might look at those scriptures and say, those are good scriptures. You know what? I'm going to build a lesson on that. You know, it's about constantly being involved, constantly doing this work. It says, and both he that soweth and he that reapeth, both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. See, because at the end of the day, each individual of us is going to receive salvation. We have to work our own salvation out, but collectively, we will be saved if we're part of the elect. Because remember, the Lord said he's going to deliver his elect as a whole. But each individual has to work out their own salvation to get to that finish line, to get the prize. And herein is that saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. And that's the truth. I sent you to sow that wherein you bestowed no labor. Other men labored and you are entered into their labor. So that fits all of us. Other men have labored and we have entered into their labors. So what's the deal? What should we do? We should keep working. Did not Yahweh said, occupy till I come? Matter of fact, let's go to the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 13. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in thee. What is that? Teaching. It's a gift that was given to us. And we should not neglect it. You know, every chance we get, we teach. You know, sometimes things come up where you're not able to do it. But hey, catch it on, when the time is appropriate, when the Lord, allows you to do it, allows us to do it, which was given thee by prophecy. See, and now we're reading about prophecy. So this gift that we have was given unto us by what? By prophecy, through the blessings of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakakwadash, with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery, which are what? The elders that taught us, so on and so forth. Meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them. Holy means you give it all. Balls to the wall. That thy profiting may appear to all. And people are seeing that. They don't like what we're saying, but they're seeing that because it's not us, it's the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And now that they're seeing it, they're not able to scoff as much as they used to. That's why the scoffers are thinning out. Even though you still have some that come around, trying to be hard body, being diligent in their wickedness. It says, take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. See, continue in them, For in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. Because this knowledge doesn't go out void. This word doesn't go out void. There's power in this word. So we are the Most High's husbandry, according to the grace of the Most High, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. And we're becoming wise master builders, to where you know every structure of the building. You have some that can read blueprints. You have some that know the different types of wood. You know, some that know, okay, this wall, seeing that it's a such and such a wall, you know, needs 2x6 studs. This wall is just a regular outside wall. I could use, you know, 2x4. You know, this over here needs this. This over here needs that. You know, some can know how to experts in measuring and cutting. You know, so on and so forth. Some are experts in laying floors down and so on, and putting windows and doors. That's all a part of the building. That's all a part of the men that make up this building, that work in a synergy. I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. So Paul labored, and others entered into his labor. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. Why? For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua HaMashiach. So Yahushua is the foundation. He is, you know, the main glue that has this whole thing together under the orders of the Most High Yahweh. So going back to edification, the act of one who promotes another's growth in Christian or Mashiachian wisdom, piety, happiness, holiness. A building, example, the thing built, edifice. So it's the building. So each individual, the scriptures call it the church. And the word church comes from the word kalein, if I'm not mistaken, which means to call out. I haven't gone over that word. I'm sorry, ecclesia, which is, I don't know why I say kalein. Ecclesia, which is ek, means out, and klesia is to call. Kalein, yeah, I believe it is kalein, is to call. So that's why I said, okay, so ek, so to call. So the word ecclesiastical, which is church, means to call out. Because the main place where the word is propagated and taught, where the church is being built, is out in these streets. All right, so let's go back. So we saw how that in 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, it says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy. See, by men that were teaching this word, that were breaking it down. And that's why the Apostle Paul said that that's the greatest gift, and that there's a way that you have to do it. So back in 1 Corinthians 14:3, but he that prophesies speaketh unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort. And that's another thing. Exhortation and comfort. Exhortation is to speak to get brothers motivated. You also have words like rebuke and reproof that are all a part of the ministry. And sometimes individuals out there get upset because if you reprove or rebuke somebody, they get mad at you. You know? And think that you hate them. That's not the cause. That's not true. It says open rebuke is better than secret love. He that speaketh in an unknown tongue, meaning a different language, edifieth himself, but he that prophesieth edifieth the church. See? And it's about building. So the prophesying part builds up the church, which are what? The men that make up this assembly. It says, I would that ye all spake with tongues, but rather that ye prophesied. For greater is he that prophesieth than he that speaketh with tongues. So this was the name of the lesson. Greater is he that prophesieth. Because the prophet is the top position in the eyes of the Most High. I mean, you have the king. The king has authority over the region, but the prophet is the Most High's man. The prophet is really over the king, because whatever the prophet says, that's what goes, because it's directly from the Most High. And when King David did what he did, and the prophet Nathan came to him, the prophet Nathan didn't come disrespectful to him. He told him a riddle, a parable. And he let the king give the sentence against the individual that the prophet Nathan was speaking about, which pretty much he gave a judgment against himself. But the Lord had mercy on King David. You see, so the prophet is over the king because the prophet is the man of the Most High. And the words that the prophet speaks are the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So, for greater is he that prophesied than he that speaketh with tongues, except he interpret, that the church may receive edifying. Yeah, because if you're speaking fluent Hebrew or fluent Spanish or fluent Creole or fluent whatever language you're speaking, but you're not breaking it down, and the people that are listening to you don't speak that language, then you pretty much speaking a mystery to them, which is not going to help them grow. So you're not edifying them. You're not helping them to grow. They're staying stagnant because they're looking at you like as you read further down, they're looking at you as a barbarian because they don't understand your speech. Here it is, you getting down, and just going into all, going deep in that language. I'm talking about you in the spirit speaking in that language, but everybody else is like, huh? Because they don't understand, so it won't be beneficial to them. That's why the Apostle Paul spoke about that, about speaking in different languages, different tongues. Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you? Right, because if I come to you in a different language, speaking to you in that different language, it's not going to be beneficial to you. It's not going to profit you. It's not going to help you grow. Except I shall speak to you either by revelation or by knowledge or by prophesying or by doctrine. Because the prophesying part is what? To break it down, to be able to break it down. And that's why when we read further down, matter of fact, let me click that. Let's go down to the 30. I'm sorry, not the 32nd. Let's go before that. 27th verse. If any man speak in an unknown tongue, let it be by 2 or at the most by 3. Yeah, because there should be more than one person that speaks that language. And that by course. And let one interpret. Yeah, because while one is breaking it down in that language, or when one is speaking in that language, the other that speaks that same language is supposed to be breaking it down to somebody else. But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church, and let him speak to himself and to the Most High. See? So you have to have interpreters to break it down. So going to the 7th verse, and even things without life giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harped? Right. Because if you pick up a trumpet, if you pick up a trombone or a piano or a guitar or whatever the case is, and you just start strumming anything, people are not going to know what you're strumming. So when you strum something, you have to strum or play something that people understand. Like if you start playing certain symphonies in classical music, Tchaikovsky or Bach or Mozart or Beethoven, or them different composers, people that are into classical music can pick up when you're playing certain pieces. But if you just saying, yeah, I'm going to play some Mozart, and then you start playing some off the wall, you just start making noise, then they're going to be like, nah, no, that ain't it. So when we're teaching this word, we're supposed to be teaching things that are beneficial for the growth of brothers. Not just teaching whatever you want to teach, What color sandals did King Solomon wear, when he was building the temple to his concubines? You know, did he have a silver girdle on? Did he have a golden girdle on? You know, when King David was fleeing from Saul in the wilderness, you know, what color garment did he have? That doesn't matter. It matters, you know, why is it important in prophecy? What can we get out of these different historical accounts that can help our spiritual growth in this time? Now, if you're talking about, well, King Saul wanted to kill King David, but we see how King David prayed to the Lord, and the Lord delivered him out of the hand of King Saul, even though King David could have killed King Saul. Now you're talking, because that's something that could be used prophecy-wise to help us in these times. King David played a harp. That's beautiful. But what does that have to do with our salvation now? How can that help benefit us, you know, building up our faith for salvation? If we know it, beautiful. But that's not important for salvation. It says, for if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? Yeah, if you have a certain sound that the trumpet's supposed to make when the enemy's coming, but you blowing a trumpet for partying, what's going to happen? People are not going to be ready for the battle. And this is why the Lord said that a lot of these leaders among Israel, Ezekiel 13, are like these foxes in the desert. Ezekiel 13 and 4. O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. You have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So by them not warning them that the mark of the beast is a microchip, that the concentration camps are coming, that these different police groups and military groups and paramilitary groups are being set up to destroy them, to watch for these things, they're not preparing them to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord, because the scriptures say that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. Instead, what are they doing? They're showing, you know, get your guns, go to the gun range, you know, make sure you have your weapons and this, that. That's not going to help, because these devils have far way more superior firepower than you do. That's not going to help at all. What is going to help, though, is knowing these scriptures, knowing the names of the Most High, the name of Yahushua, praying in those names. You know, if you have to fast in those names. Knowing the breakdowns of these scriptures, knowing what the mark of the beast is, which is the microchip, knowing that Jacob's trouble is coming, knowing that although it's going to get hard, there's going to be a way that the Lord is going to deliver us. Knowing the history on our forefathers when they found themselves in a impossible position, how they were delivered from impossibility. That builds up faith. That builds up strength. That builds up, you know, the mind to be ready for when them things come. To be able to battle mentally. And that's the hardest war to fight, is the mental battle. And that's why the Apostle Paul said, let's go to Ephesians chapter 6. That's the hardest war to fight, is that mental battle. Ephesians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So now, what is the power of the Lord's might? Is it a gun? Is it a machine gun? Is it a tank? A grenade? A grenade launcher? No, it's the words of the Most High. And these words that are on these pages of this book are to be worn like armor. You have to think of a warrior and how he's arrayed in his armor, a coat of mail, helmet, shield, sword, lance, darts, arrows, bow. You know, and how he how he maneuvers on a battlefield with those weapons. Boy, you use that same concept and apply it to the truth spiritually. And using the word as those different weapons, as those shields, as those helmets, as the breastplates, as the coat of arms, as that lance, the bow and arrow, you know, knowing how to bob and weave and duck and move, you know, and jab and uppercut, you know, with the word. It says, put on the whole armor of the Most High. And this is what a lot of individuals are not doing. They're not putting on the whole armor of the Most High. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 3:1. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go and speak unto the house of Israel. So you have to eat this whole roll and speak unto the house of Israel. Because when you eat this whole roll and go speak unto the house of Israel, what happens? The Lord can pick out what he needs and what he wants and bring out the message that he wants. That's why it says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, and 15, it says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Because then the Lord can pull out what you've learned and use those weapons against the enemy. Them different scriptures. You know? And that's why the Spirit's been heavy on the Elder Apostle Gabar to tell you younger brothers, you newer members, to write these scriptures down. And to go over, to write certain notes and go over it and go back over and read it again until you get the understanding of it. That way it'll be right up in here in your mind. And when you need it, the Lord will pull it out. So going back to Ezekiel 3:1, so I opened my mouth and he caused me to eat that roll. All right, now let's go back to Ephesians 6:10. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, meaning this whole truth, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. What are the wiles of the devil? Let's look up this word wiles. The wiles of the devil. Like you have feminine wiles, which is things that these women do to try to get things out of men. And they know how to manipulate and how to use their assets and how to manipulate and how to talk to men and to get stuff out of them. That's called feminine wiles. Well, these are the wiles of the devil, which is methodaa, which is where you get the word method. It says cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. So it's a way of using, you know, or being able to contort truth to try to pull you away from the truth, if that makes any sense. You know? There was a precept that came to mind, but it just kind of left me. If it comes back, Lord's will, I'll bring it back. But cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. You know, and this is how the devil. Oh yeah, the Barakate Haubashim Shai. Dealing with after Yahweh Shai came back from that fasting, that 40 days and 40 nights. What did Satan hit him with? Hit him with scriptures. And what did Yahweh Shai do? Hit him back with scriptures. Because these wacky-tacky Christians, these plantation Christians use the scriptures, but they're not using them right. They're using them in deception, whether they know they're being deceptive or not. Because the source of it is corrupt. Therefore, all the fruit that comes off of it is corrupt. You know? And some of them devils are very, very slick with it. Just like them spirits are slick with it. They're going to try to put certain things in your mind, in our minds. So that's why we have to put on the whole armor of the Lord, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, meaning the methods of these spirits and the things that they come into our minds with, to be able to battle them with this word. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because this is a fight. Oh yes, this is a fight. This is a fight. I don't know if they went up there and told you or not, but this is a fight. Jude 1:3. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, Matter of fact, something else came to mind. Salaka, let me get that. Let's see. I can't think of exactly how it's worded. Oh, Lord. Beautiful. Damn, that's it. All right, so let's go back. It says, Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you, meaning to encourage you, to fire you up, that you should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints, because it's about a contending. So this is a war, spiritual war. And it's a war of words. So it's the word contend, epagonetzomi, or gonedzomai, to contend. Really ain't breaking it down too much, but let's look up the word contend. Contend, struggle to surmount a difficult or danger. So pretty much this is a struggle with these words, wielding the word of faith. It's a struggle in this world because we're fighting against evil to overcome and to be saved at the end. So it's a constant fight. It's a constant battle. All right. So we're supposed to earnestly contend for the faith. And when we read 1 Corinthians 9:26, I therefore, son, so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, because it's a fight. And it's not an uncertain fight. It's a fight that we know because the Lord gave us a blessing to understand the fight, to have the different spiritual techniques on how to move, how to duck, how to throw right combination, how to throw the right combination, how to throw kicks, how to do sweeps, how to be able to jump over hurdles. So the word there is puktio, which I know I butchered that, to be a boxer, to box. So the Apostle Paul says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, because he's not fighting an uncertain fight. He knows how he's fighting. That's why he said at the end, what? I have fought the good fight. It says, not as one that beateth the air, right? Because you're not just throwing haymakers and not connecting. It's about throwing them haymakers, but making sure they connect spiritually. And that's why we're known as what? Defenders of the gospel. When some bullshit comes up, we attack it through what? Through the spirit, through the scriptures. So going back to Ephesians, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So it's not a physical fight that we're fighting. The first fight that we're fighting is ourselves, in our minds. And then these different doctrines, these different philosophies, these different individuals that come up with their different bullshit. So let's look up the word wrestle. Is pate or pale, wrestling, a contest between two in which each endeavors to throw the other. See? And how are we throwing the wiles of the devil? By these words, in which is decided when the victor is able to hold his opponent down with his hand upon his neck. So this is a constant struggle, a constant fight. But it's not a physical fight. It's a mental fight, which a lot of times a mental fight is a lot harder to fight than a physical fight. Because in a physical fight, you either win or you lose. But in a mental fight, it's something that's there. And you have to battle it out in your mind. You have to battle it out verbally on the streets. You brothers see that. And it's intimidating at first, especially when you don't have as much experience. You don't know what people are going to come with. You're praying to the Lord that, you're able, to get the right precepts and break things down the right way and say it the right way. But after a while, you become an expert at it. It becomes second nature. It says the term is transferred to the Christian struggle with the power of evil. And that's what it is. It's a struggle between the power of evil. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because it would be certain either we win or we lose if it was a fleshly thing, you know, but against principalities, which is a hierarchy of demons, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, which the rulers of the darkness of the world of this world dealing with these different spirits are summoned by the international bankers and their witches and their warlocks and their sorcerers and all of that, because they're fighting tooth and nail to keep their kingdom, and we are the main threat. All that other stuff, you know, those experts in economy, that's all a part of it. That's all good and well, but the main, you know, thing that is the biggest threat to the New World Order is the truth of the scriptures, which is the prophets. That is their biggest threat. That's why I believe, as Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter, it speaks about how the wicked, they reason among themselves, but not right. Because their whole thing is how to destroy the righteous, how to destroy the men of the Lord, so that they can continue on in their wickedness. But they're not going to be able to do that. It says, against spiritual wickedness in high places. See? So we're battling a force that we can't even see. But the beautiful thing about it is, although we can't see them, the Lord has his spirit there guiding us and how to move and how to get around all of those obstacles that we can't see. You know? So it says, against spiritual wickedness in high places, it says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Lord. It keeps speaking about the whole armor of the Lord, as we read about eating the whole roll, that you may be able to withstand in the evil days. Why? Because knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. And to withstand something means to be able to stand against it, so that it doesn't get the best of you, so it doesn't move your ground, it doesn't move or shake your foundation. And having done all to stand, see? Because there's work to be done. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. What is it talking about? Is it talking about getting one of those I forget what they're called. You put them around your waist and you clip them, and it has a zipper on it, and you have your sword and your Bible in your pocket for there? Is that what it's talking about? Girding your loins that way? No. It's talking about having those words in that book in your mind, in our minds, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, which this gospel of peace is what? Yahweh Shai dying on the cross to redeem the nation of Israel back to the Most High. Above all, taking the shield of faith, because faith is the greatest shield. Because remember, if a warrior is out there in the battlefield, and let's say for some reason his sword happens to fall out of his hand, maybe he tripped, or maybe they hit it a certain way where it kind of got out of his hand, but he got his shield, he's still able to defend with that shield. You know, and block whatever is being thought, blocking arrows and blocking darts and lances and spears and swords and punches and kicks, you know. So it says, above all, taking the shield of faith. So the faith that we have is the main shield. The word and the faith, that's a perfect combination. The main shield to block all of that bullshit from getting through the defenses. It says, wherewith you shall be able to quench, see, all the fiery darts of the wicked, which are those negative thoughts. And to quench means what? To put that out. Psst, take the oomph out of it. So quench all the fiery darts by what? By the faith. It says, and take the helmet of salvation, because this is the driving force. Salvation. Give diligence to what? To make thy calling and election sure. To get to where? To salvation. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. See? It says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit. So all of these things that we do, take on faith and the shield and all that, the word of the Lord, the sword, and also praying with all prayer and supplication in what? In the Spirit. What's the Spirit? This word. Things that pertain to the word, things that we desire to have, spiritual gifts, and the salvation. That's all a part of the Spirit, because the goal is to what? To get to the finish line. And what is at the finish line? Salvation. And watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. So we're supposed to persevere and have supplication for all saints too. Praying for brothers. Praying for sisters. You pray for your parents or, brothers, sisters, however the case may be. But mainly the ones that are involved in the truth. Just want to look up this word perseverance. We're about to close it out because it's kind of, it went over the limit, but this is all the Spirit. You can't put a limit to the Spirit. Oh, that's a lesson right there. Can't put a limit to the Spirit. Proskarteratsis. Perseverance. It didn't really say much. Persistency, meaning to be persistent. Let's look that up real quick. Perseverance, persistence. In doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Why? Because the Lord said what? Though it tarry, wait for it, for it will surely come. And the scripture said that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of heaven, which Lord's will, I want to do a lesson on that, which I'm glad that scripture came to mind, because earlier I watched the video that Elder Apostle Gabar did dealing with Eli Sabachthani. And as he was going into it, I actually had a thought before I watched the video of going into something like that, how Yahweh Shai felt forsaken. So that scripture there and the other one will help kind of build, I want to land back, and add my 2 cents into that if the Spirit allows to go into that, because the scripture said that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. So it's going to almost seem like we're not going to make it. But if we're part of the elect, we will make it. You see? And that is our hope. That's why we say we're the hopeful elect. All right, so I think that's a pretty good point to end it at. Let's read these 2 verses again and close the lesson there. Okay, it says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplications for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me. And we pray for you, brothers, and pray for us that we can continue on in this thing and be faithful and loyal and keep uttering this word. It says that I may open my mouth boldly. See, that we could open our mouths boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds. We are ambassadors in bonds, definitely. That therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. That would have been a good name for brothers, ambassadors in bonds. That's a hell of a title, boy. It says that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, because when the scripture said that the righteous are bold as a lion. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. I know you brothers have been putting some banging scriptures up, man. Salaki, I didn't get a chance to get to it, but the Spirit was on me just to go into the lesson, So I pray that you brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say Shalom.